Hey, what's going on, you beautiful people? It's your boy 3 Stacks and this thing representing the squad today. Today we're going over an update for my Herald of Perfection deck. It's my actual favorite deck. I really love it to pieces. There have been quite a few things that have been necessarily, I guess we could say, deterring factors that have kept me from fully committing to the decision of playing the deck in certain formats. The prime example was when we were in True Draco Zoo format. There's a major problem with just Masterpiece and the True Draco traps in general, because Herald could not negate the traps. And also, in addition to that, if Masterpiece was ever to target Herald and destroy them, Herald could not protect itself against Masterpiece. Even though he can discard for cost and negate, the Masterpiece would simply ignore that and just kill Herald anyways. So Herald had a horrible True Draco matchup. And then right when I turn around and make up my mind to play Herald for Dallas-Fort Worth Regionals, I find out that 1/5 of the pie chart in representation is going to be actually True Draco following into this event. So I had to make some last minute decisions and decided to not play play Herald Perfection, knowing that True Draco would have a dominant presence in every pretty much regionals after the February 5th ban list. And I was absolutely correct to make that assumption, because when I went to Fort Worth Regionals, it was a lot of True Dracos, dude. It was so much, it was crazy. And I thought to myself, this is the deck's worst matchup, True Dracos, and it just so happens that that's a lot of what's being played. So I had to fix up the deck and kind of make it able to still combat every deck in the format. And there were some decks that I played in the past, which was like Instant Fusion, to try to spam Herald of Perfection plus Abyss Dweller so that he wouldn't have to worry about the trap, and just try to like prevent them as much as possible from summoning Masterpiece. But aside from that matchup, the deck doesn't really have a bad matchup. And before True Draco debuted in May of 2017, there really wasn't a bad matchup for the deck. So the main deck has went through a lot of modifications, and I'm going to go ahead and show you my deck list at current. So we're going to start with monsters, of course. We play 3 copies of Herald of Perfection. He's absolutely hands down the best boss monster that Konami ever printed in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! I just really think that nothing's better than him. He's really, really good. He's like the very definition of anti-meta. He's one of the very few cards that actually do restrict you from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole, which is really, really awesome. Then we play 3 copies of Princess Katana. Hiya! To me, I feel like you have to have 3 of this card, because sometimes you'll waste your searchers on trying to get her. And why do that when you could just play her at 3 and increase your odds of opening up with the card? She's the only monster you actually want to tribute in order to summon your Herald. She complements the deck very well because she searches out any Light Fairy after you've summoned your Herald. So you can search out your missing Star Seraph piece, your Honest, your Christia, whatever you want really, whatever the situation calls for. So those are your 6 ritual monsters. Then we have 3 copies of Gildagra, which is pretty much the God card. Opening up with this card guarantees that you can make 1 to 2 Heralds, sometimes even 3, depending on what the other cards in your hands are. But naturally, you play 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 other ways to get to Herald. And then if you add into the pre-preps and then the actual preps, you have 21 ways to get to Herald. Then opening up with one of those 21 ways plus a Gildagra is like really, really insane. And since that's more than half of your deck, you're obviously going to open up with ways to get to Herald all the time. And then for the other normal summons of the deck, we play 3 copies of Handy Manny. Handy Manny's really, really good. He's more versatile than Sinju. Obviously, he searches the spell or the monster. So he kind of makes your hand a lot better, and he does help out to make the second Herald sometimes. And it doesn't hurt that he's a Light Fairy in the level 4. Then we play the Star Seraph package, which is, you know, stick chair, what everybody calls it. I call it staff and throne. This is one of the main combos in the deck. It helps you going second to clear cards, and when you're going first, it helps you to fetch cards out of your opponent's hand. Make it a lot easier. Sometimes you get lucky and you end up hitting the card that you knew would have been a problem for you, like the Masterpiece in general, or, you know, the Kaiju. You never know what you're going to hit with Ouroboros. But the Star Seraph package is just insane. You can actually stick chair more than once because you play Ritual Sanctuary. It's really cool. Some nice interactions that come with that. And the stick chair is also one of the main ways that Herald of Perfection is able to make really, really nasty first turn Link 4 plays like Skull Dread, Borlow Dragon, Firewall if you're playing it, Topo, whatever you want really. 2 Honest, even though the card's at 3, there's no real necessity for playing it at 3. It's also one of the cards that I don't like to open up with in my first turn hand. So I just like playing it at 2. It's searchable, it's recyclable. There's no reason to play 3 unless you're just really being greedy with it. Then we're also playing Barry Statue of the Heavens, because it just so happens that everything that's not True Draco or Trickstar would actually struggle playing against this card. I feel like it's even good against ABCs because they can't make their Destrudo play. Destrudo's a dark monster. He's not light. And the Supreme King monster that they dump off of Dragon's Ravine is also not light. So they basically have to just, you know, do the normal Union Hanger, normal summon, equip, and slowly make the Buster, which is really cool. So it slows down even ABCs, believe it or not. It's a really powerful card. It complements your Herald because now with this on board in Herald, the Kaiju that you have to drop has to be a light Kaiju. Not very many people are playing that. And if I'm not mistaken, really nobody's playing the light Kaijus anymore. So it's just really, really nice protection, and it's a floodgate on field. We're also playing Christia, which is actually just basically Barrier Statue, but better. What I like about the Barrier Statue is it's not one-sided. Well, it is one-sided, actually. It's very one-sided because you can't special summon, but I still can. I can make my plays, but I'm just trying to restrict mostly just Pendulum Magicians. Just let them only special summon Wisdom Eyes, and that's pretty much it. They can't make Electrum plays or Vortex or anything like that. Like, it's just really hard because the Chronograph and the Astrograph are dark, so it just restricts them in a major way. And then, you know, Christia is just a real floodgate. Like, Herald plus Christia, the only deck that's breaking that board is actually going to be the True Draco archetype because they don't need to special summon. Now we're going to move forward to the spells. We are playing the best spells in the deck. I'm so, like, every time I see these, it brings joy to me. We're playing 6 preps, you guys. We're playing 3 pre-preps and 3 pre-preps and 3 regular preps. This is not hard once per turn, and I'm very happy about that. This is actually a real, it's like a way better +1. When you have a Dawn Engrave, or if you got Solemn Warning or Solemn Judgment, which is a really, really smart call. If you're going to negate anything, obviously you want to negate the actual play you're trying to make. So when they do that, when they warning your ritual summon, you just play prep, you add it back, you add another ritual monster, and then you make your ritual play anyways. It's really, really good. It's a lot of ways for you to get that utility, to recur back your resources, to set yourself up for a next turn push. Prep is like just so good, but pre-prep is my favorite spell in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Continuing with the +1s, we also play 3 copies of Pot of Desires. I like to maximize on spells like these. Granted, yes, 2 of these 9 spells are actually hard once per turns that we play 3 of, but we're playing 3 of them because we actually want to see these cards in our opening hand as much as possible. So playing the risk of drawing 2 is totally fine with me because I'd rather draw 2 than none, which is totally fine. Pot of Desires is so amazing in this deck, particularly because Herald of Perfection just happens to have a very vast and also incredible search engine built into its deck's playstyle. In fact, the thing that the deck does all day is search. And Pot of Desires is really good because after you're done with your searching, you can just simply play your pot knowing that you've accumulated every possible resource that might be vital to your playstyle or whatever combo you have going, knowing that the pot will not hurt or hinder you after that. What you want to do is just make your Herald, and obviously what you want to draw for this card is just going to be fairies, so that you can end with 6 fairies in hand, which means that every card in your opponent's hand can be accounted for. You can negate their entire hand, and they enter the scoop phase. So pot's just really amazing. And, you know, it's a generic +1, which is nice to have. We also play 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren. This is the newest addition to the deck. Now, I changed my deck list to be ready for Fort Worth Regionals. Last minute, you know, I made a decision to play a different deck, but the reason why I incorporated Ties into my deck, even though we do play Gale Dagra, was I was noticing that the deck was becoming a little too reluctant on opening with Gale Dagra. Granted, the card is at 3. That doesn't mean you're going to open up with it every single game. So on the games when you don't open up with Gale Dagra and you have like a Manju or a Scepter or something like that, you want to go Herald, and you still want to back him up with something else, because without Gale Dagra, it's a little bit more difficult to make your double Herald, which is ideal. You want to make 2 Heralds because Kaijus exist, you know, Solemns exist. You can't strike the Ritual Summon, but you can strike his effect because he's not a spell speed 3. So I wanted to add a little bit more oomph to my first turn boards, if it makes sense, and make them just that much harder to break. And I feel like Herald plus Barrier Statue, and, you know, if you're playing Valkyria, then play Valkyria to add more oomph to your board. That makes it a lot harder to break and a lot more strong. Also, it puts more damage on board for your second turn push, because naturally Herald is meant for a first turn setup and a second turn kill. And a little bit of a problem that I've noticed with my experience in this deck is it doesn't have enough damage for the second turn kill. It never usually does. I've tried playing Gagaga Samurai. Once upon a time, I played Herald of Perfection Zodiacs. I played the Zodiac engine because I needed those Whiptails and that Trident and that Brawl Bull to give me more pressure and more damage on the field. With Tiger Mortar, just giving you more damage in general and disruption, but zoos are not a thing anymore. So the ties really help, not only getting out the barrier statue, it sets you up for your stick chair. Any light farrier that's not Star Seraph, Scepter, or Sovereignty can be transformed into one of these simply by Ties of the Brethren, because basically everything that's not Rituals and Gildagra is just light level 4 fairy types. So Ties is just really, really strong. You also play 3 copies of Las Vegas. All the really, really juicy lit spells, you want to play 3 of them. So you have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 amazing, really, really amazing spells that are game changers. Ritual Sanctuary, aka what I call Las Vegas, is obviously to me just the best spell in the deck. Because of the recursion that it gives you, because of the late game synergy it provides for you, the utility of the Monster Reborn and the optional search if you'd like to take that route is really, really powerful, having it every turn. Special summoning your Herald back, summoning a Scepter, searching out, a Sovereignty, then normal summoning a Scepter, special the Sovereignty, do stick chair with 2 Scepters, pop 2, draw 2. It's really, really impressive. Special summon back your Barrier Statue. One game, I literally special summoned my Christia, shuffling back like 2 Desires. It was just a really awkward game. A bunch of other spells that I didn't need just to summon back the Christia. It's just really, really, really good. And Christia was not special summoned from my hand. I actually discarded it for cost with Herald. Then special summoned it from my grave with Ritual Sanctuary, which was like something that doesn't really come up, but it actually came up in that duel. Then we play 3 Dawn. It's the most important spell. It's not the best, but it is the most important. Without this spell, a lot of your plays are just dead. I really, really have to stress that this is the most important spell in the deck. Honestly, just the most important card in the deck, because you can actually summon this monster through other means. You can circumvent for that problem by playing what's a ritual spell called? There's a ritual spell that's it summons any light monster. I can't remember the name. And then there's Advanced Ritual Art. There's other ways you can summon your Herald. But this is obviously just the best card. It's the most important card in the deck. It's how you summon your Herald. It also happens to banish itself to add the monster or monsters, one of the monsters that you tributed for the ritual summon, which gives you more negates. And in general, it makes the Benton unashable, because you always put this as Chainlink 2 and you always put her as Chainlink 1. So it provides so much protection. It's just amazing. And then the 1-of spells, we're playing 1 Optimus Prime and 1 Monster Reborn for the sacks. Now, if you notice, I cut Terraforming down from 2 to 1. My reasoning was literally just I needed room for Ties and Barrier Statue. So I took out 1 Terraforming, 1 Soul Charge, 1 Upstart, and 1 of another card I'm trying to remember, and literally just threw in the Barrier Statue and the Ties. That is the main deck. If I'm not mistaken, it is actually 41 cards, which is totally fine. The deck's insane. Extra deck is 2 Herald of Arclight. You can also play Elder Entity Natisse if you want to take the route of turning your Gildagra into a weapon. You can play Borreload in this deck because it's too easy to make. Skull Dread is actually possible first turn. You play Decode Talker. You play Akashic Magician, Proxy Dragon for your links. You can play Ib. I always choose to make the Proxy over the Ib simply because this is a light and you can drop Honest, which is very important. Because if you Gildagra, your life points are so low, you just don't want somebody to attack over your Ib for well over 2,000 damage and end your life. Then you play the Star Seraph package, which is pretty much, it's going to be the same no matter what deck you see. They're always going to play these for your Star Seraph targets. The Diamond is optional, but I do like it just having that optional auto win in Lightsworn matchups, Burning Abyss, Infernoid matchups, 60 card decks in general. It pretty much says that cards cannot be sent from the deck to the graveyard. And also this monster can negate the activation of any dark monster's effect and destroy it, which is pretty cool because there's quite a few dark monsters that are actually problematic right now in the format as it stands. Then we have Babuska, we have Tornado Dragon, we have Dweller, which is the MVP in the True Draco matchup. You have Keragorgon, another MVP in the True Draco matchup. I had to dedicate a couple slots in the extra deck for the True Draco matchup in general. And then Cheergrow, because sometimes you want to turn off your own Barrier Statue. So you'll overlay your Barrier Statue of Heavens with another level 4. Go into Fairy Cheergrow because she is a light, so you're not breaking the rules. Draw your card and go off from there. Now, the side deck is totally up to you. It is personal preference. I would recommend a couple spicy techs being just maybe 2 or 3 copies of Instant Fusion itself. The reason why Instant Fusion is really good in Herald, because when you're playing against the True Dracos, you want to open up this Herald of Perfection plus Abyss Dweller. Because now you can pretty much negate the trap that would naturally kill Herald. You're like standby shotgun Dweller, right? The attributed trap, they'll try to pop. It won't even work because they're under Dweller. And Herald can negate pretty much their spells. It can negate their diagrams. It can negate their monster effects. And what it does is it hinders them from ever making the Masterpiece to begin with. So this board is very powerful in the True Draco matchup. Because remember, Herald can't negate the activation of a True King's Return being sent from the field to the graveyard. Because it's not a spell or trap activating. It's just the effect of a trap engraved. And that concludes the deck profile, you guys. Stay tuned for future content. I'm actually going to be updating 3 other decks, and we might do some more test hands, combo videos, etc. I'm just going down my list of things that people have been asking me to do on the channel lately. I'm trying to get back to the grind. But I love y'all. Y'all definitely stay tuned for more awesome videos. I hope that you enjoyed this. Definitely check out some of our older videos. You might be surprised. If there's a deck that you're wondering, hey, have you done this? Or maybe you should do this 3 stacks. You might want to double check my channel first because I've probably already done it. I know a few people ask like, hey, can you do Magnet Warriors? Can you do Cyber Dragons? Can we see, you know, like, I believe it's like Dark Lords. And somebody else asked if they can see, I think it was like Pure Dark Magicians. And all those were already on my channel, but they didn't know because they hadn't checked out my older videos. So I would like for you to check out my older videos if you have the time. But I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Y'all be safe. Have a wonderful day. Peace.